They worked inside the system for decades. They reviewed your claims, calculated your payments, answered your calls, and fixed your problems with their own hands. And now, for the first time, many of them are speaking out. Not to create panic, not to chase headlines, but because what they saw from the inside is something every single American receiving Social Security needs to hear before it is too late to act on it. The warning is not dramatic. It is not a conspiracy. It is something far more unsettling than either of those things. It is quiet. It is already happening. And for millions of retirees across this country, it is already beginning to affect the speed at which they receive help, the accuracy of their benefit amounts, and the reliability of the one support system they spent their entire working life paying into. Former Social Security Administration employees are speaking out, and they are saying the same thing in city after city, office after office across the country. The system is under more pressure than most people realize, not collapsing overnight, not disappearing tomorrow, but struggling in ways that are real, measurable, and already showing up in the lives of everyday retirees who never saw it coming. For anyone whose rent depends on that monthly deposit, whose grocery budget is built around that payment date, whose medications and utilities and daily survival are tied directly to that number hitting their bank account on time. Even a small disruption does not feel small. It feels like everything, and the people who used to work inside those offices understand that better than anyone. Many of them spent their careers sitting across the desk from retirees exactly like you, helping solve problems, correct errors, and navigate a system that most people only interact with after a lifetime of trusting it completely. Now they are stepping forward, and what they are saying deserves your full attention. Here at Senior Authority, we do not chase fear and we do not manufacture alarm. We bring you clear, honest, carefully explained information so you can protect your income, understand your rights, and make confident decisions about your benefits without panic and without confusion. So let's talk about exactly what these former employees are warning about, and more importantly, what it means for you right now. Over the past decade, Social Security offices across the country have quietly lost thousands of their most experienced workers. Some retired after long careers. Some transferred to other government agencies. Others left during the pandemic years when offices temporarily closed or shifted to remote operations. And the deep institutional knowledge they carried, built over 20 and 30-year careers spent learning every corner of the system, simply walked out the door and never came back. Thousands of years of combined experience gone. And while that experience was quietly disappearing from the inside, something historic and unstoppable was building on the outside. More Americans were reaching retirement age than at any point in the history of this country. Every single day in the United States, roughly 10,000 people turn 65. 10,000 people. Every day. That number has held steady for years because the entire baby boomer generation is now moving through retirement age simultaneously, in one enormous and relentless wave that is nowhere near finished. And what that creates inside the system is a collision. Thousands of new retirement claims arriving every single week. Thousands of new benefit calculations being triggered. Thousands of new people entering a program that will then be responsible for managing their account, protecting their records, and responding to their needs for the rest of their lives. But the number of people inside the agency handling all of those cases has not grown at the same pace. Former staff members from field offices across the country describe locations that once operated smoothly with 30 experienced employees, now running on 15 or fewer. Offices that once welcomed walk-in visitors every single day now require appointments scheduled weeks in advance, not because of policy changes, but because there simply are not enough staff members left to serve everyone who needs help. And when fewer workers are responsible for more cases, delays appear in places retirees never expected to find them. Phone hold times that stretch past an hour. Appointment slots that fill up weeks out. applications that take longer to process than they used to, corrections to earnings records that sit waiting in a queue far longer than they should. None of this means Social Security payments have stopped. The monthly benefits are still being issued, deposits are still arriving on schedule for the overwhelming majority of beneficiaries. But the support structure behind those payments, the human layer responsible for stepping in and fixing things when something goes wrong, is under increasing and serious strain. Let two real Americans make this impossible to ignore. A retired schoolteacher in Ohio received a letter from Social Security showing her benefit estimate was lower than it should have been. She had worked for nearly 30 years. She had done everything right. The numbers simply did not match her earnings history, and she needed help understanding why. She called her local Social Security office. She waited nearly an hour on hold before a single representative picked up. That representative then scheduled a follow-up appointment several weeks later so a specialist could review her file. The error was eventually found. Her benefit was corrected. But the months of stress, the hours lost on hold, the weeks of uncertainty about her own money, none of that was her fault. None of it should have happened. And it is happening to more people every single month. Then there is a veteran in Arizona who applied for Social Security disability insurance after a serious health condition made it impossible for him to continue working. Disability cases have always required detailed review, medical records evaluated, employment history verified, additional documentation gathered before a determination can be made. In the past, many claims moved through the system within several months. Today, in certain regions, those same reviews are stretching considerably longer simply because more applications are coming in while fewer experienced staff members are available to handle them. The system is still functioning. Claims are still being approved. Benefits are still being issued. But the workload has grown significantly, and former employees say that growing pressure is precisely why they are speaking out now, not to frighten retirees, not to suggest benefits are vanishing, but to deliver an honest warning from people who know this system from the inside. The system is carrying more responsibility than it ever has before, and when that happens, even the most established programs in the country begin showing signs of strain that real people feel in real and painful ways. Here is what this actually means for your life. If your Social Security record is accurate and your payments are already established, your monthly deposits will in all likelihood continue arriving exactly as expected. Payments are processed automatically through a highly reliable system tied directly to your birth date. If your birthday falls between the 1st and the 10th of the month, your payment typically arrives on the second Wednesday. If your birthday falls between the 11th and the 20th, it arrives on the third Wednesday. If your birthday falls between the 21st and the end of the month, your deposit arrives on the fourth Wednesday. That automated system continues running regardless of staffing levels. Where people begin hitting walls is the moment they need a human being to intervene. Correcting an earnings record, replacing a lost Social Security card, verifying identity information, asking questions about a new benefit application. Those are the specific situations where staffing shortages slow everything down in ways that are deeply frustrating for people who have every right to expect better. You paid into this system your entire working life. Payroll taxes, year after year, decade after decade, with the understanding that the support services would be there when you finally needed them. Former SSA staff members understand that frustration on a personal level. Many of them say the employees still working inside the agency are doing everything humanly possible with the resources they have been given. But the collision between a surging retiree population and a shrinking experienced workforce has created a pressure that grows harder to manage with every passing month. Hold on to this clearly. The warnings being raised are not saying Social Security is disappearing. They are saying the system supporting it is under pressure. Understanding that difference is everything because it tells you exactly how to respond, not with fear, with action. Now let's talk about why this pressure is happening with such force right now. Because once you see the numbers behind it, the picture becomes impossible to look away from. More than 70 million Americans currently receive some form of Social Security benefit. Retired workers, spouses, survivors, individuals receiving disability payments. 70 million people. That is more than the entire population of most countries on Earth. And that number grows every single year as the population ages and as more Americans cross into retirement for the first time. When millions of new beneficiaries enter the system annually, while experienced staff members are simultaneously retiring from the agency itself, the workload shifts in ways that are invisible from the outside, but felt intensely by the people trying to carry it. Every one of those 70 million accounts represents ongoing real work happening behind the scenes every day. Address changes that must be recorded, banking information that must stay updated, earnings records that need corrections, survivor benefits that must be processed when a spouse passes away, disability reviews that must be completed on schedule, all of it requiring dedicated staff time. All of it piling up faster than the system can absorb it. When former employees describe the pressure inside Social Security, they are not pointing at one single problem. They are describing several powerful forces hitting simultaneously. The biggest is pure mathematics. More Americans retiring than ever before in history. Roughly 10,000 people reaching age 65 every single day, each one triggering new claims, new calculations, new benefit relationships that the agency will then manage for the rest of that person's life. At the same time, the complexity of those cases has grown, verifying decades of earnings history across multiple employers, reviewing detailed medical records for disability determinations, managing increasingly sophisticated identity verification requirements put in place to protect seniors from the wave of financial fraud that has targeted retirees with devastating effectiveness in recent years. The agency is now balancing a rapidly growing retiree population, a rising volume of complex disability cases, and a significantly strengthened security infrastructure, all at the same time. All with a workforce that is smaller and less experienced than it was a decade ago. That is what strain looks like from the inside. And understanding it is not just interesting information. It is practical knowledge that directly affects your ability to protect yourself. Now here is something that former Social Security employees say does not get nearly enough attention. And it may be costing you real money right now without you having any idea. Your Social Security benefit is not calculated based on what you remember earning or what you believe your record shows. It is calculated based on what the system has actually recorded. And those two numbers are not always the same. Former SSA employees say that one of the most common issues they encountered every single day involved earnings histories with quiet, invisible errors, years that were underreported, misattributed, or simply missing from the record entirely. A name change after marriage. An employer who transposed a single digit in a Social Security number on a payroll form. A small company that reported wages late, incorrectly, or not at all. These are not dramatic crimes. They are small, quiet, administrative mistakes that sit silently inside your earnings record, invisible to you, reducing your benefit calculation month after month, year after year, for the rest of your retirement, unless someone finds them and corrects them. And former employees say they saw retirees discover these errors only after benefits had already been calculated and set, after the number was already locked in. Imagine working part-time during the early years of your career while raising your children. Those wages may feel modest in the moment, but every single year of earnings is factored into your final benefit formula. If even one of those years never made it into the system correctly, the monthly payment you receive today is lower than the monthly payment you earned. Not because of a law, not because of a policy, because of a quiet clerical error in a database that nobody told you to check. Make this concrete. A year in which you earned $45,000 is recorded in the system as zero. That zero gets averaged into your benefit calculation. It pulls your monthly payment down by a number that may seem small on its own. But you collect Social Security for 20 years, 30 years. That small monthly difference compounds over a lifetime into thousands of dollars of income that was rightfully yours and simply never arrived. Former employees say this was not rare. It was one of the most common heartbreaking conversations they had. And it is still happening today to people who never knew they needed to look. Survivor benefits carry the same kind of hidden loss. Widows and widowers across this country are receiving smaller monthly payments than they qualify for right now, today, simply because no one ever explained that they had the right to ask for more. Social Security allows surviving spouses to receive the larger of the two benefit amounts in certain qualifying situations. But that switch does not happen automatically. If you do not call and ask, the smaller amount keeps arriving every month. And every month that passes is money that cannot be recovered. For anyone receiving benefits before full retirement age while still working, the earnings limits that cause benefits to be temporarily withheld are not a permanent penalty. Once full retirement age arrives, Social Security recalculates and credits every withheld month back into the payment formula. Former representatives say they spent more time explaining this single rule than almost anything else because retirees were living with genuine fear that they had permanently lost money. Money that was, in reality, already sitting there waiting for them. Here is the truth that former Social Security insiders want every retiree in America to carry with them. The program is not disappearing. The monthly deposits are not stopping. Social Security remains one of the most stable and enduring financial programs in the history of this country, built over decades specifically to support the people who paid into it faithfully across their entire working lives. What is under pressure is the administrative layer, the human support system that intervenes when something is wrong, corrects what needs correcting, and makes sure the right amount reaches the right person at the right time. And in a system under that kind of pressure, the retirees who protect themselves are not the ones who worry the most. They are the ones who know the most, the ones who checked their earnings record instead of assuming it was correct, the ones who called about survivor benefits instead of quietly accepting a smaller payment, the ones who understood the rules around earnings limits instead of living in fear of money that was never actually lost. The ones who read every letter Social Security sent them and acted on it immediately instead of setting it aside. 70 million Americans are depending on this program right now. Each one of them built a life around a number they trust to be accurate. Each one of them deserves to know whether that number is everything they earned, or something quietly, invisibly less. Stay informed and do not panic. Review your earnings record and make sure every year of your working life is properly reflected. Keep your documents organized and within reach. Read every piece of correspondence from Social Security carefully and respond without delay when action is required. Understand what survivor benefits you may qualify for. Know your payment schedule. Know your rights. Because in a system carrying more weight than it was designed to carry, with fewer experienced hands available to catch what falls through, the people who are protected are the people who showed up informed. The people who knew what they were owed, the people who refused to assume that silence meant everything was fine. Senior authority exists for exactly this reason: to make sure you are never the retiree who finds out too late. To make sure you have the knowledge, the clarity, and the confidence to protect every single dollar you spent a lifetime earning. Subscribe so you never miss an update that could make a real difference in your retirement. And before you go, drop your state in the comments and tell us whether you have ever had to contact Social Security about your record or your benefits. Your experience is not just your story. It is the information another retiree somewhere is desperately searching for right now. Take care of yourself. Stay steady. Stay informed. You worked too hard and too long for anything less than every dollar you earned, and Senior Authority will always be here to make sure you know exactly how to claim it.